Hello, lovely souls. Welcome to the Conversation with MJ, where we are going to embark on a journey of connection, growth, discovery together. I'm your host, MJ, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this exhilarating ride through realms of inspiration, wisdom, and insight. So, we're going to deep dive into the heart of what it means to live a fulfilling life, to pursue our passions, and to unlock our greatest potential. Each episode is a celebration of human connection and a testament to the power of authenticity and a reminder that we are all on this journey together. So get ready to be inspired, get ready to be empowered, and get ready to ignite your inner fire, because here at Conversations with MJ, the adventure never ends. So join us with every moment an opportunity to shine. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, please leave a comment, and the show will be starting shortly. See you soon. Hi everyone, how you doing? It's the afternoon. I told you guys I was going to come back and I wanted to talk about this topic. It's this different form of psychology that I actually been like studying and reading up on because I'm really interested in it because it kind of yokes with my ideology of things and the psychology that I kind of use within my life. So I want to shout out everybody that's in here with me as of now. So I want to say shout out to Slick. Thank you very much for coming, sir. I appreciate you. Shout out to Miss Jalen. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Shout out to Truth. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for joining, sir. And Flora Bella, my baby, shout out to you. Great to see you here, darling. And you're more than welcome to come up and talk about this with me because, you know, me and you love psychology. So, and let's see. All right. So let me take this off my screen first. So before I actually get into the Jungian Psychology, and excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, but it's somebody's name and they added the IAN to the end of it. So the individual name is Carl Jung, but his psychology that he created is called the Jungian Psychology. So we're going to be unrailing that. We're going to be dissecting that, unlocking that psychology. But before I do that, I want us to actually go over main types of psychology that we actually use in today life. So let me see. Okay. So some might not know that we usually use four main types of psychology. We tend to break it down by clinical. That's with counseling for mental and behavioral health. We have cognitive psychology. That is the study of the mental processes. We have behavioral psychology. That's understanding different behavioral types. So shout out to Flora once again, you know, having a long lengthy breakdown of antisocial personality disorders, going over the dark triad, where it pretty much the root of that comes from,
and because that's what literally what the behavioral psychology goes with. And then we have the biopsychology, which is the research of the brain, behavior, and evolution. Okay. But I do want to let you know that we have like I think over 18 different types of psychology. But those are the main ones that we use. We tend to lump all the 18 of them to have certain parts uh that fall into the four main ones. So just a review that these are the types of psychology that we have. Like I said, clinical. So clinical is the integration of human science, behavioral science, theory, and clinical knowledge for the purpose of understanding, preventing, and revealing psychologically based distress or dysfunction, and to promote subjective well-being and personal development. This is according to Wikipedia. We know that Wikipedia is not like the honest God truth. A lot of other stuff is in there, but that is just literally its breakdown. Then we have developmental psychology, which focus on the changes that can take place in humans throughout their lifetime. For this reason, it's sometimes referred to, well, pretty much it's like the development of a human. So they're pretty much tracking and studying from when we are infants, from when we get into preteens, adolescents, when we get into young adults, and when we even get into our geriatric phase of our life. That's what developmental psychology is, and with the brain. Then we have cognitive neuropsychology, which is a branch of cognitive psychology that aims to understand how the world structure and function of the brain relates to the specific psychological processes. So pretty much it's understanding how the brain works, knowing how when we want to act or move or certain things that we do comes from our frontal lobe. When it comes down to long-term memory and sense of trauma, it comes from the back of our head, the what is it called, the occupational lobe of our head. And also like different things when it comes to your nerve reactions on the side of your head or the parenthals of your brain. Then we have social psychology. So that's mainly what we be discussing most of the time, is the social dynamics of psychology. But the definition is a scientific study of how thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by the actual, imagined, or the implied presence of others. So layman terms is what you're actually experiencing, the trauma, whatever that's happening or occurring in your life. Imagine that's the hallucinations that comes with some of the personality disorders or mental illnesses that we have out here, and then the implied, right? So then we have forensic. So forensic psychology is the application of scientific knowledge and the methods to help answer legal questions arising in criminal, civil, contractual, or judicial proceedings. So this is when they start taking picks and choose. They start taking fingerprints. They start, like I guess even foot markings or foot tracing, things of that sort. They use that and they start to find out or paint the picture, especially when it comes down to a crime or a case, right? What is it? What actually happened? What is going on? They actually do use forensic psychology with that. It's just not cookie cutter. A lot of the scenarios where we heard about like Jeffrey Dahmer, where we heard about Marilyn Manson, and we heard about all these well-known serial killers, Killer Sam, and so forth. They was doing forensic psychology on these individuals to find out their pattern, because these people have actually was doing it for a very long time. But until they brought in forensic psychology, they was able to study the patterns that these psychopaths, I would say, these psychopaths left behind, because they were very, meticulous. They was very sneaky. Most of the time they did not want to be found out. That's why they was able to do it for a very long time. And then when we read the memoirs of these psychopaths, eventually, after a couple of years of being able to do what they do, they started to grow bored because they got comfortable of always quote unquote winning, right? So that's when they started to get messy and actually leave clues behind, for police, for detectives, to see if they could actually catch them, right? And that was just like the thrill of it. That was the challenge for themselves. So they thought they was like playing a game when it came down to law enforcement to find out who's doing who. It's like the Guess Who. It's like the Guess Who game. It's like the Guess Who movie, the old movie. That's what that was. Then we have educational psychology. That is the branch of psychology concerned with the scientific study of human learning, meaning they want to understand how people are using their teaching methods, right? What teaching methods are they using to reach out to people to educate them? And we know that that even changes a lot when it comes down to public schools and where our children are going to school at. There's different educational metrics that is being used at particular schools. Some are better, some are worse, some are designed for children who might have a learning disability. So that is what educational psychology will fall under. Then we have industrial and organizational psychology. It's the distinct focus on industrial or organizational of human behavior work settings. Pretty much it's like how they adapt to being in those particular type of environments, like working at a bank or working at a plant, working like I would say even a financial is some form of financial institute, or you're in the stock market. This is them understanding that human behavior in working in those particular type of career fields, right? Then you have counseling psychology. This is the psychological specialty that began with a focus on vocational counseling, but later moved its emphasis to adjustment counseling and then expanded to cover all normal psychology and psychotherapy. So when you have counseling psychology, they're pretty much that's just where you go for your therapy, more about your treatment, having those conversations with your therapist or your psychiatrist, interventions. Those are that would be even a form of like a AAA meeting. That would be fall under counseling psychology, right? Then we have abnormal psychology. That is the topic and directed area of focus for the section in psychopathology. Psychopathology is the study idea of various thoughts, behaviors, and emotions expressed. These three are expressed very differently throughout each individual, right? So it's honing on the things that are quite different in a said individual with a mental health disorder. And they gives you treatment. They'll also identify what is normal mental disorders, and mind you, what they would consider normal mental disorders is just like the I'll say the mental disorders that they have prepared for human beings living in a particular society, right? Our mental disorders is going to be quite different than the mental disorders from another country, from Europe or even Africa, because their societal differences is quite different than ours, right? So that's what that will fall under. Then we have health psychology. That is the study of psychological and behavioral process in health, illness, and healthcare. So this discipline concerned with understanding how psychological, behavioral, and cultural factors contribute to physical health and illness. So remember how if you ever took a health class, and I'm sure everybody did, when you talk about health, there's literally four pillars that have to be at least balanced for you to have optimal health, right? So that is mental, emotional, physical, and I think is what's the last one? It's been a long time, but I know it's a emotional, mental, physical, and I forgot the other one. I really did. Wow. It's been a long time. I have a brain fart. But there is four pillars, and those usually have to work together for you to have the best outcome of optimum health. And when one of those pillars take a hit and it doesn't get treatment, it doesn't get, checked out or whatever not, then it will actually affect the rest of remaining of your health, right? Like, we know that stress kills. They came out with that article about, like, what, 30 something years ago, telling people that they needed to find ways to relieve their stress due to the simple fact that it has effects on your nervous system, and it can eventually kill you. You can actually catch a heart attack or a ITA for high levels of stress and anxiety. Then we have neuropsychology, is the branch of psychology concerned with how a person's cognition and behavior are related to the brain and the rest of the nervous system. So this is what I was also talking about with the whole your nerves being affected. So they also have a psychology for that, where they want to know that if your nerves is fried, or there's a blockage that might be happening within your arteries or the nerves throughout your body, it can affect your brain and the cognitive part of your brain. So to piggyback on what I was talking about, stress, when you're under high level of stress and high level anxiety, uh, there is a part in your brain, I forgot the name right now, but there's a part in your brain that actually starts to shrink, and is highly a part of your cognitive thought. So you'll tend to see someone who is high in stress or high anxiety. They start to they start to say words incorrectly. Like, so now they can't have proper sentences. They start to mess up on their words. They start to mess up on definitions. They seem highly irate. Their memory seems to shorten. Like, we already have a very short-term memory. Our short-term memory only lasts for between 17 to like 18 seconds. And you will see that actually get smaller. So meaning someone can say something to you, and when you ask them to repeat it back, most likely they cannot repeat it back, right? That's what that means. Community psychology. So community psychology is the concern with the community as the unit of study. This contrasts with most psychology, which focus on the individual. Community psychology also studies the community as a context for the individual within it, and the relationships of the individual to community and society. So with this here, I'm really interested in this. I'm going to actually do a little bit more research on this, because I think that this is one of the biggest things that we need in our community is community psychology. That's what we literally need. Because when we talk about psychology, we always talk about only helping the individual, but what do you do when it's a group mentality that is affecting a whole community, more than one people simultaneously? So I think that this is something that we should literally be focusing on more than ever as a community, as a people, because obviously there's a lot of things that we are doing that we don't have the answer for, and we are continuing to go down this cycle. So I think this will be my next live. I will do something on community psychology, and then I will look and see if they have any like a workbook or something like that, that we will possibly be able to go through it together online. I think that would be dope. Put a one in the chat if you want me to do a live stream on community psychology, and if I can find anything like a workbook or something like that, that we can look into it and probably even do some examples and stuff like that. Just let me know. All right, so now the next one is experimental psychology. So experimental psychology, it refers to work done by those who apply experimental methods to psychological study and underlying processes. So with this is pretty much when you heard about shock therapy, when they used to zap people and stuff. It's unfortunate, like back in the old days, when wives were going through emotional distress and emotional anxiety because they were cooped up in a house, or they were not with a husband who was focused on their social. Oh, hold on one second, guys. I got a phone call.